Meanwhile, the most exciting of all three plots. I think the Blackbeak clan plot stuff is amazing. It's insane. We love seeing all the wyverns and dragons. I love meeting Adian. The stuff that goes on in Rifthold's important, but it's not my favorite. Mainly because Dorian's getting with Sorcerer, and I'm like, eh. And then we're following Kale. Eh. I mean, Adian's pretty decent. But now we have what is going on in Wendelin? What's happening to our main character, Aelin? We return to Aelin at the beginning of this book. Absolutely twatted. Okay. Aelin's gone to the dark place. She's not doing well. Because if you remember, she's just broken up with a boyfriend. She's been sent across the sea, and she is meant to kill someone who, by all accounts, is like a cousin, like a family member. So she's up on this roof. She's been watching the prince, and she's like, do you know what? Nah, not feeling it. He's a good guy. They're not going to send someone to come find me over here. I'ma just chill in Wendelin. So she's drinking. She's not had a bath in God knows how long. She's wasted, laying on the top of this roof, watching the prince like parade down the street, and she's like, oh, FML. She is throwing a pity party of one. And along comes he's one of my favorite, not even book boyfriends, book husbands in the world. I'm not embarrassed to admit to you all, right here, right now, that I have fan art of Rowan Whitethorn on my nightstand. Yeah. Yeah. I own it. That's actually really embarrassing, isn't it, to say out loud? But I love him so much. And his entrance, she's up there, drunk as a skunk on the roof, comes down, she's in this alleyway. He just comes out of the darkness, silver haired, tattooed. Oh, yes! Rowan is a Fae prince who has been sent to collect Aelin and bring her to her aunt, Queen Maeve of the Fae. They basically have all of these lines of royalty. There are essentially two strands of Fae, those descended from Maeve and those descended from Mab. The little folk, those ones that we saw over in the woodland back in book one, they're all linked to Queen Mab. Aelin is actually descended from Queen Mab. And you have Maeve, her sister. So I'm super chuffed that Rowan's taking her to Maeve because A, she wants to meet Fae, full stop, part of her heritage that she's not really been exposed to a lot. And she's hoping Maeve can give us some insights into the weird key problems because obviously May is the super duper old, powerful Fae. And when she meets Maeve, she's young and beautiful. And it turns out Rowan and a group of guys that are all called the Cadre are magically bound to her. They've all taken blood oaths. They are her servants. Rowan's a prince and he's dedicated his whole life to serving Maeve. So she's pretty powerful. And when Aelin asks for help, Maeve's like, yeah, sure, I'll give you the answers you're looking for. However, I want to see what's happened to your magic, babe. And it turns out that Aelin's magic is what frightened the king of Ardlin into doing what he did to stop magic in their continent of Erelea. He apparently was so powerful with her magic that everyone was like, oh, wow, she's gonna be a super duper duper powerful fire wielder as an adult. Obviously, girl's been living in a world with no magic since she was like 8 years old. So all of the promise, all of the initial power she had, she hasn't used it since. The word that actually gets used is she had uncontrollable power. She was just this little child who could just set things on fire. Very Drew Barrymore in Firestarter, but with more pizzazz. And when Maeve realizes that she don't know what she's doing, she can't access any of these powers. It's been a decade. Maeve's like, well, you can't come to Doranel, which is like her city for Fae. You're not allowed to come and get the answers until you've sorted yourself out and can use firepower. So, Rowan, honey, you're going to have to go with her and teach her how to use magic. And then we get one of the best enemies to lovers arcs possible because Rowan thinks she is literally the most useless person he has ever met. Obviously, Aelin is demi-fae, so the fact that she's incredibly powerful is insane. But Rowan doesn't accept any excuses for her. He's really mean. There is the iconic point at which he says the world would be a better place if she had just died 10 years ago. Like, it's bad. I won't go into full depth on like the whole training sequences, but Rowan comes to see if there is one thing you can say about Aelin, it's that girl works hard. And so he pushes and pushes, and she keeps trying and trying, and eventually it all starts to click. She starts being able to voluntarily shift between her human form and her fae form, which is obviously what Chaol saw when they went into the other dimension in Crown of Midnight. And she starts to be able to summon fire. Okay, and it's awesome. It's so cool. Rowan's magic is that he can control wind and ice. Really, really neat. Very, very cool. He also can shapeshift into a bird. Most fae in this world can shapeshift into an animal, but because Aelin is demi-fae, her shapeshifting is literally fae to human. There is this iconic scene where Rowan assigns her the job of keeping this bonfire burning. And the problem is Aelin doesn't know the depths of her power. She doesn't know what is safe to do and what not to do. And so she uses up too much of her magic and kind of collapses. And Rowan's really worried about her, and he runs her into the house they're staying in, and he makes her a bath to help cool her down. And obviously he's carried her and she's burning up, so he's all burnt. And he like burns himself to save her, even though he's saying, oh, I hate you, you're useless. The moment it looks like something really bad's happening to her, man's on it like a garb on it. I mean, he's got it bad, he just won't admit it. And what's really, really important at this point is she's in the bath, she's cooling down, and he sees her back for the first time. And obviously, she's all scarred up from being whipped in Endovia. And this adds a lot of context to something she's told him earlier. He says that he threatens to whip her at one point, and she has this insane reaction to it. She like dead eyes him and it's like, if you take a whip to me, I will flay you. I will remove all the skin from your body while you're alive. And Rowan's like, what the? Why is this the thing that sends her over the edge? I've said she should be dead and she was fine with that. Threatened to whip her and the woman loses her mind. But he sees her in the bath and's like, are you ready? Are you ready for it? Who did this to you? And she's like, you don't know anything about me. And he realizes he's got her all wrong. She isn't this pampered princess who's been in hiding and is useless and doesn't know any magic. Like, maybe there's more to her. You forget that Rowan's only just meeting a character you know loads about at this point, and he's just like, oh, damn, maybe I should be nicer to her. The relationship between them is getting stronger and stronger, but initially, for this book, it stays platonic. Because Aelin's just broken up with Chaol. She's just left a relationship that was... It didn't end well, let's just say that. Girl had to leave the country to get over him. And you find out that Rowan, he had a mate. They have mates. And yeah, that is a soulmate. And his mate died like 200 years ago. Still not over it. He is all sad and miserable. And I will never love again. That kind of way. The two of them, alongside all their lessons, they're like getting to know each other, respecting each other. And that's the important thing Sarah J Maas does. The OTPs of the Massiverse learn to respect each other before anything becomes romantic, okay? They learn respect, they learn like, and then they love. Because respecting the person you're with is essential for a good long-term relationship. Sarah knows what she's talking about. She's setting these guys up for success because they are endgame. I mean, that shouldn't be a spoiler. If you've seen even like the tiniest bit of Rowan fan art, you know this to be true. Anywho, very much in the vein of book one, people start dying again. Selena and Rowan have to figure out who is killing the demi-fae. Now, they discover that the murders are being caused by these creatures called Valg, who are a demon race from another dimension. Rowan and Aelin figure out that these Valg, they're going to be heading to the fortress they've been sort of staying at and using as their base really soon, because that fortress is full of demi-fae. So they start assembling all of the like civilian demi-fae to try and fight and protect the fortress, but they're too late. The Valg are already there. They're going to attack. They're going to kill everybody. Now, Aelin, this is the first time we get an Aelin boss fight, and she is phenomenal. Because girl switches into her fae form, starts using her fire magic, and it is incredible. Everyone is like, Oh my God. Even Rowan is like, oh my God. This is what we've been waiting for. Girls' fire magic is insane. But she's about to tap out. Gets tired. She's only just started flexing these new muscles. Rowan runs over to her and supports her as Karanam, okay? Karanam is, I'm not going to say it's the same as a mate bond because it's not. It's when two compatible people can basically share magic and become stronger as a unit. It's like being battle besties. And obviously, Rowan and Aelin work so well together at this point, it's not a surprise that they're Karanam. And this restores her strength and establishes like an actual mental link between the two of them. They can speak in their minds, guys. It's so cool. Now that she's shown her magic, and the rest of the cards turn up. So Lorcan, Vaughn, Gavriel. These are all Rowan's homies, part of his squad. They all see it and are like, man, what the hell has been going on here? They all head to Doran, which is Queen Maeve's stronghold. It's like the city of the Fae. They bring Aelin with them to be like, hey, look, girl knows what she's doing now. Rowan did a good job, didn't he? Maeve basically tells Aelin that these weird keys, they can't be destroyed. They just need to be returned to the Weird Gate, and that no one really knows how to do that. She lets Aelin know that the King of Ardlan would have insane power if he got all three weird keys in one place. And Maeve says, do you know what, Aelin? I think you know where key 3 is. I think that's why you're asking all these questions. Where is it, bitch? And because she knows that Aelin and Rowan have become friends, she gets Rowan, who is her like blood sworn like servant, and starts whipping him in front of Aelin, being like, I'll stop when you tell me where that final key is, because I want it. Ah! Queen Maeve, who is meant to be helping out, who's like Aelin's several times removed on, is like, not a good person. It's such an understatement. And we get one of the most iconic Aelin lines ever, where she's like, you stop whipping him or I'ma use my magic. And Maeve says, well, what use is fire here? My entire city is made of stone. You're not going to be able to burn the place down. And then Aelin goes, your city may be made of stone, but your people aren't. It's so good. And obviously Maeve sees Aelin's magic and's like, okay, I'm gonna stop whipping Rowan now. Figures out that Maeve has actually been hunting these weird keys for centuries and that she's betrayed people she loves in order to try and get her hands on one of them. And at this point, Selena pulls out a ring that the man Maeve betrayed years ago famously wore. Selena uses that ring to bargain for her, and she's like, look, I'll give you this ring back if you give me Rowan. And Maeve agrees. She releases Rowan from his blood oath to her, and he immediately swears a blood oath to Aelin. He becomes her blood sworn instead. And the two of them leave Doran together. It's so good. Now, this is where each of the lines starts wrapping up. We're finishing the story now, except there's a lot to happen. Basically, Murtagh goes back to Ardlan, confirming to everyone, to like the other rebels, Aelin's definitely alive because Aelin, Ashriver Galathinius, was seen and won a fight over in Wendelin with her magic, aka the news is doing the round. So now everyone's excited because they've got categoric proof. Aelin, Queen of Terrasen, is alive. She just happens to be across the sea in another country right now. So with this proof, Murtagh shares the news in Ardland and heads up north to Terrasen to start readying everybody for their queen's eventual return. The King of Ardlan is human. So he summons Dorian, Sorsha, Kael, and Adian to his throne room and starts questioning them about a spy in their midst. Obviously, Adian tries to be the scapegoat. He's like, yeah, it's me. I'm Spartacus. So he gets shackled and dragged down into the dungeons as a traitor. And the king says, Adian's going to be executed soon. But then the king turns to Saoirse, little nurse Saoirse, who Dorian's fallen in love with, and says, funny that Adian says that he's a traitor, though, because I've read some letters you've been sending to your friend with a load of covert information about me. Turns out Saoirse, she's a rat. She admits to basically being a pawn and trying to sneak out all this information about Ardalan to their enemies, but says, oh, but I actually did fall in love with Dorian. That wasn't part of the plan. The king, he doesn't care. So he has her head chopped off in front of Dorian. Obviously, Kale's fuming on his bestie's behalf. So Kale draws his sword. He's like, oh my God, no one is safe. And a crossbow gets shot at Kale. Now, my man Dorian, he may not have saved Sersh from being beheaded, but he is not letting anybody shoot his best friend. So it is at this point Dorian's magic breaks free again, saving Kale for the second time and freezes the arrow mid-air. Kale manages to escape, but now the king knows Dorian has magic, and he's surprisingly happy about it, but not in a good way. The king pulls out this really grim collar, puts it around Dorian's neck, and starts controlling him. It's bad. It's bad. It's gonna get real rough for Dorian in this next book. But Kale grabs Fleetfoot as he is legging it down into the secret passages. He tells Mort, the door knocker that I absolutely hate, exactly where he's going just in case Aelin comes by, because obviously Mort knows who Aelin is and he can pass on the message. And Kale heads over to Ren and the rest of the rebels, and they all swear they are going to break Aedion free. Meanwhile, Aelin is getting ready to sail back to Ardalan. She's got to return to Rifthold. She's going to tie up any loose ends with Kale. She's got a date in her diary with Arabin traitor Hamel, who she firmly believes is actually in possession of the third weird key. She tells Rowan this is something she wants to do alone. Rowan is not happy with that at all, but he has to agree because Aelin's in charge. So Homegirl gets on a ship, ready to return to Rifthold, bigger, badder, and stronger than ever. And she promises to send for Rowan when the time is right. So Girl sets off, ready to rally an army and take down the King of Ardalan, while things in Rifthold getting mega messy and the witches are prepping for battle. Oh, it's so good. Heir of Fire is such a good book. We love, love, love. And as a little additional note, if you could please share this with anyone who you think will find this content useful, I would be incredibly grateful. These videos have taken an awful long time to shoot, so I would really appreciate you helping me get them in front of the people that these will prove useful to. If you've liked it, please actually like the video. Comment what you thought. Comment on anything you think I should have mentioned and have missed out so that we can help more people blitz their way into the Massiverse. Please just share where you can. Tell people about this series. Don't leave me here speaking out into the digital void. I've done this because I'm hoping it will help people. So please help me help others work their way through this and prep for future Sarah J Maas releases. Rant over. I hope you've enjoyed this summary of the book. Continue to enjoy this journey into the Massiverse as we carry on working our way through Throne of Glass over the next few days. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later, alligators.